Hello, everybody. Let's talk about the first, that'd be this one. Let's talk about the first problems on the practice test here and see what we can learn from them. These are very much, as you can see, in the same format as the Moodle quizzes for 7.2 and 7.3. So we're supposed to find the length of the leg and round our answers to the answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, so this is an isosceles right triangle, or Moodle calls them 45, 45, 90 right triangles. They're the same thing. So what do you have here? You've got, to remember this, that the leg, we call that leg x, times the square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse. All right, so maybe we'll just call it leg for now. So we don't know the leg, but we know the hypotenuse. So we can go, let's call that x times the square root of 2 equals 36. So to find our answer, we do 36 divided by the square root of 2. And we should get 25.5 for that. You do that on your calculator. And let's try that on the calculator. So it's 36 divided by the square root of 2, just so you can kind of get the sense for how that works. So we'll get the Desmos calculator up here. A good online calculator for use. So 36, oops. Sometimes you miss the button. 36 divided by the square root of 2. And you can see the answer over here, 25.45, which is rounded to 25.5. So you see how we get it. All right. So let's look at this again. Oops, I'm in the wrong thing here. This one. All right, that's the first one. Second one, the leg of a 45, 45, 90 right triangle is 168 meters. So let's say this is one of those. 45 degrees, right? Leg's 168 meters. So now this time, we just take the leg times the square root of 2 to get the hypotenuse, as it says here. So 168 times the square root of 2. And you're supposed to round to the nearest tenth. So that should come out to 237.6 meters. So let's see if it does. 168 times the square root of 2. I'm going to show the calculator just so you have some way of showing, figuring out how you do the sequencing, because a lot of times the big issue is getting the right sequence on the calculator. And as you can see, we get 237.6 if we round to the nearest tenth. So it does work. That's what we do when we have either the diagonal of a square or an isosceles right triangle. And so we have to be aware of that. All right. Then let's look at when we have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, or sometimes just called the 30, 60 right triangle, because obviously the 90 means it's a right triangle. It's helpful to have a picture. So let's say this is our 30, 60 right triangle. And they said the hypotenuse is 80. And they want to know the long leg. So this is where we have to remember that one of the 30-60 right triangle, which is a special right triangle, everything revolves around the short leg, really, because the short leg, or I should say it this way, hypotenuse is twice the length of the short leg, which means that thinking that word backwards, the short leg is half the length of the hypotenuse. Now, they didn't ask me for the short leg, but as you'll see in a minute, you need the short leg in order to get the long leg here. So if we call this x, that's what they are looking for. We have to do that. So they gave us the one side length. We have to use that information to figure out what the long leg is. So it's a two-step process. We have to figure out the short leg, and it's half the hypotenuse, so that's 40. And then we have to know this about the relationship between the long leg and the short leg. The long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. So in this case, it would be 40 times the square root of 3. This happens in all 30-60 right triangles. So that's the relationship between the legs. The hypotenuse is twice the length of the short leg, and the long leg is the square root of 3 times the short leg. So 40 times the square root of 3, and that should come out to 69.3. So let's go and look and see if it does. Get up on the calculator again. So we're going to do 40 times the square root of 3. And you see we get 69.3, just what we're supposed to get. All right, let's go back to the last problem in this video. And that is this one. The long leg of a 30-60 right triangle is 404 meters. The hypotenuse of the triangle rounded to the nearest tenth is, all right, let's see. Let's figure that one out. Let's change colors, so a little variety here. All right, so we have, if we draw another picture, here's our 30, 60, 90 right triangle. This time they gave us the long leg. So now they want the hypotenuse. They want this hypotenuse. We can't get there unless we get the short leg too. And once again, we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So it's 404. Remember, the short leg is short leg times the square root of 3 equals 4 equals the long leg. Now we work backwards from that to get the short leg. So the short leg, or the long leg divided by the square root of 3 equals the short leg, and then we'll take that and multiply by 2. So that'll be the first step, and then the second step will be 2 multiplied by 2. Okay, so let's go to the calculator and do that. 404 square root of 3 404 divided by the square root of 3 square root of 3. Here's square root buttons over here. And you see that that equals 233.249. So that's the short leg, but we want long leg. So we're going to multiply it. We want the hypotenuse. So we're going to multiply it by 2. And that comes out to 466.5. All right, so let's go put that in. 466.5. And we will have done our job here. And there you go. That's the problem number 1, the 45, 45, 90 degree right triangles and the 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle. That's how you do it. All right. So we will talk to you again soon. Have a geometric day.